what are some of the best individual performances in UFC history? Well, today, guys, we're going to be working out on this tier list. I've got pictures from the fights all around the tier list. I'm going to drag and drop them into where I think they belong on this tier list, give my reasoning why. Obviously, S tier being, godlike performance, you didn't put a foot wrong, all the way down to F tier being not impressive whatsoever, trash, and then obviously E, D, C, B, and A all being, obviously A being very, very good still, and then all the way down to E being, you won, but there was moments where you were looking very sloppy. So without further ado, I'm MMA to subscribe if you're new, leave a like, and let's get into this video. Let's go. Starting off with a very infamous UFC moment. It's Conor versus Jose Aldo, and it's going in A tier, okay? Now, the reason being, this fight was over very quickly. I think it was 13 or 14 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. And obviously, Conor McGregor had a very impressive showing. In fact, so impressive, it almost looked scripted. I'm not saying it is, it just kind of looked it. Very impressive, and obviously, we saw before he was practicing the counter hook coming in. So, very well done to Conor McGregor. And the reason why this is so impressive is not only because it's a very, very quick knockout, I'm pretty sure it might have actually been the first strike he actually landed in the fight, or the second, is because of who he knocked out. Jose Aldo, he was undefeated for around 10 years, if I'm not mistaken. He had an aura of basically, you can't beat me, I'm going to destroy everyone. And he was destroying everyone. He was in a lot of wars, but he always won. He would just grit through, tough through, and very, very lethal striker. He would kind of break his opponents down as the rounds went on. And then, this guy was very, like I said, he was, nearly unbeatable. Conor got in his head. They had a very long build-up. I think their fight got cancelled, so it left Conor even more time to just psychologically haunt Aldo. And honestly, that's what he did. I'm not even going to joke about it. This guy had genuinely won the fight more or less before he'd even stepped in the octagon. Aldo was just clearly not in the right mental state. McGregor was really, really getting on his nerves. He just completely put all his skill and tactics out of the window, and he fought with anger. And when you fight with anger against extremely high level strikers like McGregor in this era, you're going to go to sleep, and that's exactly what happened. McGregor saw it coming a mile away, literally had expected it before the fight, and put him away within under about 15 seconds. So very, very impressive. Undoubtedly at least A tier. It could even be debated it's an S tier performance. Iconic, and it was Conor McGregor's first championship win for the championship belt. Obviously, I'm not really going to count the interim belt. He won against Mendes, but so I think that's fair. Conor McGregor, one of his greatest performances. Well done, but not the only time he's on this list. We move on. A recent one. There's no order to these, by the way. Strickland versus Adesanya, and honestly, I'm going to put this in A tier, okay? And the reason being is because, yes, people have beaten Adesanya before. Jan Blachowicz, Alex Pereira has finished Adesanya. However, no one has shut Adesanya down. Pereira had a very close fight with him before getting the finish in round 5. He lost rounds in that. I think he was actually down on the scorecards. And Jan Blachowicz kind of took him down. And it was close on the feet, Did Jan outstrike him? Maybe. But he resorted to basically lying on him and just being a wet blanket on him in the later rounds to get the decision win. However, Strickland beat Adesanya at his own game. He walked him down, he checked all his leg kicks, and he outboxed him. And Strickland's boxing was so superior to Adesanya's on the night. And Adesanya was looking very tired in the final round. Strickland has god cardio, as we all know. He has very underrated cardio. And I've never seen anything like it. A kickboxer of Adesanya's caliber against someone who's quite one-dimensional. In contrast, you're not going to see Sean throwing spinning heel kicks. He's not going to be throwing question mark kicks, anything like that. He's very, very basic. But turns out, if you're basically a master at the basics, you can't be beaten, it seems, because Sean Strickland put in an absolute masterclass performance. I'm ready to say it. Sean put in a masterclass performance, and he scored one of the best strikers we've ever seen in the UFC. Probably top 3 strikers, right? And he just does that to him. So amazing, incredible performance by Strickland. Really damaging for Adesanya's legacy. His fans were coping hard on it. They're probably going to cope in the comments below. So I'm ready. I'm expecting that. And they're going to probably tell me it was a fluke. But you can't get a 5-round fluke, guys, okay? And Adesanya, people say he looked off. Well, guess what? championships on an off day, they still find a way to win. Like Volk, he's probably had an off day. He's had numerous championship fights. And guess what? He's pulled through and he's won them all. He's gritted down on the mouthpiece and he's thought, you know what, I'm a champion. I need to win this. And Adesanya couldn't do that against Sean Strickland, who was, on the night, the far better man, the far better fighter. And it is an A-tier performance. I'm very happy with that ranking. We move on. Gaethje versus Khabib. Now, I'm going to put this one in... I think we're going to put this in low B. Again, a fairly uneventful first round. I actually can't remember if the judges gave it to Khabib or Gaethje. It was fairly close. In my opinion, it could go either way. It was a 50-50 first round. However, the second round, it just showed why Khabib was the champion. He absolutely showed Gaethje levels. He finally got his takedown. He got him into top mount and he flipped him over and triangled him. It was absolutely crazy. It was some of the most high-level grappling I've ever seen. It genuinely looked like a guy who just had his first BJJ lesson against the guy that runs the BJJ gym and is the black belt. It was an absolute ground schooling. It genuinely looked like Justin Gaethje had never been on the ground before. And when you're against someone like Khabib in that level of his prime, that's what's going to happen. I think he was about 32 when this happened, in his lightweight prime. This guy had just come off he just destroyed all the best people in the lightweight division, and he destroyed Gaethje in this fight. And what a performance. Great submission win by Khabib and a great way to end his career. But if I was him, I respect his decision to leave when he's at the top of his game because his mum told him to. It's very honourable. However, I would have gone for one more win because I know he would have been anyone else in his next fight just to get that 30, because it looks a lot better in my opinion than 29-0 on a record. But I guess Khabib doesn't really care about that, so fair enough. But yeah, B tier, great performance, but again, a fairly hard to score first round, and it wasn't a dominant first round. We move on. O'Malley versus Aljo, and I'm going to put O'Malley versus Aljo in probably high C. Again, because he lost the first round, okay? So he lost the first round, so it's impossible really to give him B, A, or S. However, I think it still deserves a good place on the tier list, which is what I'm giving it. C is a good place on this list, because Aljo was a very good champ again, This guy was the bantamweight champ for a reason. He'd just beaten Dillashaw, and okay, that was clouded, he might not have beaten him if his shoulder wasn't popped or whatever, or dislocated. However, he beat him on the night. He beat Jan once legitly on a close decision, and then obviously kind of got the decision after getting scored by Jan in the first fight. Not the decision, sorry, the disqualification. But, Aljo was a good champion. He's tough. He had a very good grappling submission game. This guy was putting away Sandhagen in the first round, making it look easy. And no one really else has done that to Sandhagen. So for Sugar to come out here, defend the takedown in the first at the end of the first round, and then in the second, the amazing pullback counter shot. Oh, it was good. Aljo, I predicted that. I told everyone Aljo's not as good as people think on the feet. O'Malley's way better. And I predicted second round TKO. He got a second round TKO. We're in the Sugar Sean era. It was a great knockout. Very clean. He tried to get the walk off. I think he thought he had it, but Aljo started to recover on the ground. So he went in with some lethal ground and pound. This guy's got really long arms. It makes him really dangerous when he's standing up for ground and pound. He's got big hands too. It's like basically getting hit in the face with a hammer. And Aljo got finished, and that was a fair stoppage and a great performance from O'Malley. So that's why he's in high C. I think that's fair. We move on. Oliveira versus Poirier, and it's going in high D, okay? The reason being is because Oliveira he got dropped multiple times in round one, and he was losing the fight. At the end of round one, Poirier said himself, I think I'm going to be the champion by the end of tonight. He was wrong. He was very wrong. And Oliveira made a good comeback, and that's what that Oliveira can do a lot. He makes a lot of comebacks in fights. And he did that. Round two, took him down, laid on him, basically gassed Poirier out. Third round, took his back fairly early into the round and subbed him. So, well done to Oliveira. Took the comeback, typical of Oliveira style. And he got the submission win. And well done to Oliveira. Dominant. After the first round, dominant, but he can't go any higher because he did lose the first round, and he got dropped numerous times, and he didn't drop Poirier once. But beating Poirier like that is impressive. However, he can't go really any higher because Poirier has been submitted before by Khabib. However, He did it quicker than Khabib, as far as I'm aware. I think he did sub him quicker than it took Khabib. I think they were both in the first round, if I'm not mistaken. Third round, sorry. And yeah, Oliveira did it in quicker time than Khabib. However, Khabib never got rocked, he never got dropped. So, take from that what you will. We move on to another fight on this tier list. Cody Garbrandt versus Dominic Cruz. It's going in S tier. In my opinion, this is joint best performance in UFC history, especially in a title fight. Everything's on the line. Your first chance at the belt. A lot of men crumble, they get nervous, they bottle it. Cody Garbrandt, he genuinely became the best MMA fighter of all time for 25 minutes. He schooled Dominic Cruz, and Dominic Cruz is no slouch. He was still very, very good at this point. He was the defending champion. And he schooled him. He was emoting like it was a UFC 4 video game. When you're schooling your opponent and you're just spamming the D-pad. And that's literally what happened. Dominic Cruz missed everything. Cody Garbrandt's head movement in this fight was insane. And this fight is so impressive that every 6 months or so, if I've got nothing else to do and I'm bored, it comes up in my recommended and I'm like, I'm watching the whole fight. And I watch it from start to finish. It's that satisfying to watch. What a performance. He was so accurate, so crisp, so fast, powerful, stuffed all the takedowns from Cruz, emoted on him, bonus points for that, emoting and not getting knocked out. And it wasn't even like he was doing it from far away like Adesanya does. He was in range of getting clipped and he still dodged him and stuff. And I'm pretty sure he actually did a few press-ups in there. So quality for him, looked very sharp the entire way through, hardly got hit. Basically, a near perfect performance. If you can have one in UFC, that's what it looks like. So yeah, Cody Garbrandt versus Dominic Cruz. RIP Dominic Cruz, you got scored here. What staying on your legacy. And it's a shame that we never saw Cody quite like this ever again. But yeah, I think he just thought he could do that against anyone, and he was completely wrong there. But yeah, well done, Cody Garbrandt. You earned the S tier spot on this list, the first one. We move on. Leon Edwards versus Usman 3. This is going to go in D tier, okay? And by the way, D tier on this list is still good, so no one be hating, okay? If you're on this list, you've had a decent performance already, okay? Now, the reason it's going here is because Leon, I think he lost one round, and then he drew another. I can't even remember the scorecards. I think he'd won 3-2 or 4-1. It might have been 3-2. But to beat Usman, no one had beaten Usman by scorecards. Obviously, Leon knocked him out in ages. This guy was one of the most dominant champs. He was number one pound for pound prior to this. Obviously before getting head kicked the first time. But people were going, it's a fluke. It's a fluke. He's going to win. He's going to watch the head kick next time. And he isn't gonna get knocked out. However, Leon Edwards showed why he is in fact the champion in front of his home crowd. He got the better of Usman, outstruck him, showed him levels on the feet. He did outstrike him confidently. Wobbled him a few times. He hit him with a good knee. I think he hit him with an elbow on the break as well. He was very lethal on the break in this fight. That's what I noticed. And it was just amazing to see a fellow Brit get the win like Leon Edwards. And good performance. And considering the caliber of the opponent, obviously Usman being very dominant, very, very good. And he got up, he stuffed up about half his takedowns. Usman's got very good takedowns though. To get up, basically deny Usman his game of trying to grind you out through the grappling and the wrestling. And Usman was looking very tired in the fifth. And Leon was looking fresher. I'm not gonna lie. I think Usman knew he met his match, and great performance by Leon Edwards, a championship performance, and just showed why he may be better than Kobe Covington, because Kobe could never do that to Usman. So yeah, there you go, Leon Edwards beating Kamaru Usman in the trilogy. We move on to another fight. Eddie Alvarez versus McGregor. This fight was crazy. This is one of the other greatest performances in UFC history. This was a schooling from start to finish. I'm pretty sure Alvarez basically didn't land any significant strikes. He didn't land what I'd call a good hit. A hit that you're like, oh, I wouldn't want to be hit by that. A hit that would cause bruising, caused a bit of pain. And he got scored. He was completely out of his depth. I'm pretty sure he shot in the later round, and that's when you're getting desperate, because Eddie Alvarez, all right, he can take people down, but he'd rather be on the feet. But he was getting scored. He shot, denied. This is one of the most iconic performances in UFC history, and obviously good reason for it. It was a great performance. Finished him in, I think it was the third or I can't even remember if it was the third or the second now, but it was just a great performance. And McGregor was so sharp. His timing was the best we've ever seen in UFC. So accurate. And he's got a deadly left hand. We all know that. And this was just an amazing performance from McGregor. And what a way to become the UFC's first double champ. So yeah, huge props to McGregor. Stepped up, first UFC's double champ, and I mean that with that performance, is no wonder he was a double champ. But unfortunately, I doubt we're ever going to see McGregor like that again. He had quite a young prime, I think. I think a lot of fighters hit their prime in their early 30s in these kind of weight classes. However, I think McGregor was he his prime when he was like 27, 28. And he just hasn't looked as good ever since. But yeah, we can only hope he makes a return looking good. I doubt it though. But yeah, amazing performance. We move on. Adesanya versus Pereira 2 in UFC. I'm putting it in E. Now the reason being is because I'm going to put it in D. Okay, because the reason being is because Adesanya mentally, he has to go for a lot to get this win because this guy was 3-0 over him at this point. However, Adesanya, I'm going to be honest, he looked like he was about to lose that fight. Okay, the first round was close. However, on the still, Pereira said, I think I have him. I think I know this. I think I've got his timing down and I can beat him now. I'm going for it. He went for it. He was destroying Adesanya's leg. He was bossing the leg kick battle. He was jabbing his face off and having a good second round. And it looked like he was actually going to close in on a finish. And, Adesanya can say what he wants. He baited him. He played possum. However, ultimately, I do think Adesanya was hurt there. And let's be honest, this was part to Adesanya, playing possum or whatever you want to call it. And 50% the other fault of Pereira being, oh my God, finish time. I'm going to get a left hook finish here. And just kind of charging and dropping his hands. And Pereira shouldn't have done that. He was stupid for that. However, for Adesanya to knock him out, you got to give him credit. Pereira never been knocked out in UFC before this. He only had one loss and it was his first MMA fight. It was absolutely ages ago when he was completely new to the game. So for him to knock out Pereira, it was very good. It was a good shot. However, like I said, he was actually looking like he was about to lose the fight. He was losing the fight. I don't think that's controversial until that moment. But, that's how UFC is, Leon was losing the first fight to Usman. But yeah, you got to give him it. I'm putting a D tier because the mental odds were stacked against Adesanya. But yeah, good win, but yeah, whatever. Adesanya, D tier, I think that's fair. We move on. Ooh, I forgot about this one. Ngannou versus Miocic. I'm gonna put it B tier. I am, because Stipe he's the heavyweight GOAT, right? So people will call Stipe the heavyweight GOAT. A lot of people are saying Stipe was gonna beat Ngannou. They said, listen, we know what happened the first time. Took him down, gassed him out, and won after surviving the first round where Ngannou is most dangerous. Second time round, Ngannou has been making a lot of improvements. His coach is amazing, and he had a great game plan. And he had clearly been improving his wrestling defense. As soon as Stipe, in my opinion, in the first round, Stipe shot, and as soon as he stuffed that takedown, if you look at Stipe's face, you can kind of see that he's like, I'm not going to win this fight, am I? Because he saw that Ngannou's boxing was better. He was much more patient. He wasn't swinging like an idiot who just had their first boxing lesson. And he wasn't basically fighting like KSI, just with the massive overhands, the massive haymakers. And he fought a very, very composed fight, very calm fight. And that's how he beat him. He outstruck him, stuffed his takedown, and then landed some good ground and pound of his own as Stipe was trying to get back up. And he won the first round convincingly. So that's why he's above, Sean O'Malley, who didn't win the first round. And second round, he got a highlight reel finish, okay? Annihilated Stipe, folded him like a deck chair. He literally folded in half as he landed. It looked very sore on his legs. RIP spine. And to do that to Stipe Miocic, the GOAT of heavyweight, a fairly dominant champion, only losing to Daniel Cormier, who is a very, very good fighter in his own right. You got to give him credit. It was a great performance, great from Ngannou, and knock out someone like that in such a one-way fight. Stipe had very little in good performances here. So yeah, I think that's why it's there, B tier. Yeah, fair enough. And a great knockout. And that was the start of the Ngannou era, which was fairly short-lived, surprisingly, due to the contract disputes. I would have loved to see him fight Jones. Anyway, I guess we'll never know. We move on. Our second last fight on this tier list. We've got Volk versus Islam Makhachev. Not Volk, Charles Oliveira. What am I saying? Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev. It's going in C tier. The reason being, because Charles just looked unbeatable, right? A lot of people were picking Charles, even though he was the underdog. I think he was favoured probably by people. People were saying, yeah, Charles, you can't count this man out. He won't quit. He won't give up. He'll always come back. And Charles did not come back in this fight. I'm pretty sure he lost the first round. It was close, but Islam, in my opinion, got the better of Charles. He took him down. It was fairly even on the feet. And in the second round, it's almost like Charles was like, oh my God, I can't just, submit this guy instantly like I can my other opponents. And I think he underestimated how good Makhachev was on the feet. I think he thought he'd be able to blitz through him on the feet. Makhachev would panic, shoot a sloppy takedown, and maybe get guillotined. However, Makhachev is very underrated on the feet. He's probably top 20 strikers in the sport at the moment. He's very good on the feet. I do rate him. And Oliveira just wasn't expecting it. And I think it really threw his game plan in the mud. And he was thinking, oh my God, I can't pull guard in this guy because he's better than me on the ground when he's in a top position. What do I do? I'm scared. So, he really didn't really know what to do. And we got to be honest, Charles is a decent striker, but he has holes in his game. He makes mistakes and he leaves openings. And that's what happened. He did a sloppy front kick, missed, and Islam countered it beautifully, landed a good shot. Obviously, wobble Charles, he fell down and he got a beautiful submission on him. And to submit, the king of submissions, most submissions in UFC history, is very impressive, and very few people have done it in the recent history. Obviously, I know Charles has a few losses, but that was kind of pre-Oliveira era Charles. It's kind of a different fighter, to be honest. But great performance by Makhachev to beat a very dominant champion like that. We move on. Our final fight on the list. We've got Holloway versus Volk, and I'm putting it here, and I think this is fair. And the reason being, I'm going to move all these here. And the reason being for Volk versus Holloway, it's either ARS, I can't decide. But the reason being is because no one does that to Holloway, okay? And yes, I know Holloway has lost fights. He's lost to McGregor. However, his loss to McGregor, it was fairly close, all right? It was competitive at points, but McGregor got the best of him, took him down and stuff like that. He got injured. But, it was fairly close, all right? This fight was not close. This was what I call a schooling. And this settled the debate. The Holloway fans were saying, nah. One of the fights was a robbery. The other one was still close. Holloway's got this in a rematch. And Volk put those ideas, those discussions to bed with a 5-round schooling of Holloway. I think he 5-0'd him. And this was just insane. Volk had basically a godlike performance here. He was untouchable. His head movement was crazy. He just walked Holloway down. And you should see the damage on Holloway's face at the end of this. And in the fourth and fifth round, Holloway just looks defeated. It's like he knows he's lost. And he's like, oh my God, this guy's so much better than I realised. And he just kind of basically took hits, landed very little offense. And like I said, this was just a very one-way traffic fight, absolute schooling. And what a performance by Volkanovski. Great performance. And I've just realised we have one more fight. I can barely see it. We're going to bring it up here. This is Merab versus Yan. It's going in C tier. Actually, no, it's not. It's going in D tier, okay? Now, the reason being, D tier is still impressive, by the way. So before anyone comments, blah, 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 blah. It's going in D tier, okay? Actually, no, it's going in C tier. I've decided because he didn't lose a round to Yan. Okay, this is going in C tier because Yan. Yes, he was on a 2-fight losing streak. They were close fights, okay? Some people say the Sugar fight's a robbery. Some people say the Aljo fight's a robbery. I don't think it is, but there you go. So he was on a 2-fight losing streak, but we all know that Yan is a very, very good boxer, good Muay Thai boxing ability, kickboxing ability. And for someone to 5-0 him like this, it's a schooling again. Merab shot takedown after takedown. However, the reason, I can't put it any higher is because Merab didn't do much, okay? He took him down, That's great. You know, you won the rounds. But it's not like any others above him in the tier list where they were getting finished or they were like really hurting them and damaging them. You know, Merab clearly had a scorecard style fighting game plan for this, because he was just taking him down, showing his amazing, somewhat suspiciously amazing cardio on Jan. And the reason it can't be any higher is because Jan was already on a 2-fight losing streak. But yeah, to do that to Peter Yan, still one of the most dangerous bantamweights, very, very impressive. But like I said, he didn't really hurt Yan that much. He just controlled him. But I think that's a fair place for it on the list, because he didn't lose a round to him, unlike the people in D tier. So yeah. But anyway, that is the tier list, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Leave a comment down below and tell me, guys, what you think. Subscribe so you don't miss any future content. And thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.